Hello, my name is Diana Benoist, and I am the Student Assistance Program Coordinator at Donner South High School. I'm a licensed counselor, and I'm also part of the Counseling and Student Supportive Services Department here at South. I first just want to tell you a little bit about what I do and how I'm involved with the Athletic and Activities departments. My job is really threefold. I work in education, intervention, and prevention. So in terms of intervention, I assist families and students when anything related to alcohol, tobacco, or other drug offenses come up. I also do individual and group counseling with students, and I work with alpha teams, which are other supportive members of the department, counselors, psychologists, social workers, nurse, and deans, in order to assist students in a variety of ways. In terms of prevention, I work with a lot of different activities here at South. For example, I work with Operation Snowball, which takes place twice a year. It's 2 retreats. I also am involved with Mad Dash and Rush Corps, which are part of our freshman orientation and transition programs. Red Ribbon Week, which is an alcohol and drug awareness week that occurs in October. And then Join the Movement, which is our anti-bullying club. I also work with athletic and activities programs to help promote healthy lifestyles for our students. As I said, I meet with students individually and in groups, and I coordinate with the Mustang Way program, both the Mustang Way leaders and the monthly lessons. Whenever issues come up related to the code of conduct and any kind of violation with the athletics and activities departments, as the student assistance coordinator, I work with students, families, and staff when a student makes a choice related to alcohol and other drug use. What I do is provide referrals to community counseling agencies for drug and alcohol assessments, education, counseling, and sometimes treatment when that's needed for the students. I get involved as a helping professional because what we really want to do when students make those choices is to educate, assist, and support, not to punish students. And so we offer that reduced suspension as part of that helping perspective and really supportive role here at school. And so that's why we offer a reduction from 25% to 10% of the season if a student works with me to get those outside services and assistance if needed. So our goal really is to encourage healthy behaviors and choices for all of our students. Along with that, we know that when adolescents choose to use alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs, they really can suffer negative consequences. So here you'll see a list, and I'll just highlight a couple of those. We know that there can be legal consequences such as arrest, loss of license, a criminal record, and sometimes also exposure to other illegal or high-risk behaviors. Athletic consequences, obviously, being involved with drugs or alcohol can affect physical performance and health. It can lead to suspension because it is a violation of the athletic code, and it can also create stress and damage relationships with coaches and teammates. In families, substance use can create all kinds of conflict, arguing, fighting. It can cause financial strain, and definitely is something that can impact sibling relationships, parent relationships, etc. In school, sometimes with students who are involved with substance use, we see excessive absences, decrease in motivation, lower grades, difficulty focusing. Socially, this can affect peer groups, oftentimes leading to conflict with friends, and impaired judgment when under the influence can lead to uncomfortable or unsafe situations as well. And then we know physically and developmentally, adolescents' brains are still developing. And when students introduce substances to their brains at this point in their lives, we can see decreased brain function, we can see fatigue. We know that students who start using at a young age are 5 times more likely to develop an addiction later in life, and that it increases risk-taking behaviors. Here at South, we think it's really important to give our students accurate, reliable information about drug and alcohol use. And one of the things that we think it's really important to communicate to them is that most adolescents, most teens at DGS are not using. Despite what the media portrays and what many students may believe, most students at DGS are not using alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs. They're making healthier choices. And we recently administered the Illinois Youth Survey just this past March of 2014. We're hoping that it will show the same or similar data to what we got when we did that survey in 2008, and that does confirm that most students aren't using. What we do have for you right now is some national data from 2012, the Monitoring the Future survey. And you can see from this data that the vast majority of students are not binge drinking, are not smoking cigarettes, and are not using marijuana. So we really like to share that with students in order to clear up those misperceptions and to reinforce the healthy choices that many students are already making. So among the minority of students who do choose to use alcohol, tobacco, or other drugs, we do have three most commonly used drugs, and those are alcohol, marijuana, and prescription medications and over-the-counter medications. There are a very small minority of students who we have seen use other substances such as cocaine, heroin, inhalants, ecstasy, bath salts, and other synthetic or designer drugs, but again, that use is very low and infrequent among students at South. So one of the first ones that we'll talk to you a little bit about is alcohol. Alcohol is the most widely and abused substance by adolescents. It is also the #1 cause of adolescent deaths between the ages of 15 and 24, and that's due to alcohol poisoning, car accidents, and other accidents. While alcohol use by teens has decreased in recent years, as you can see by the graph on the right, it is still a significant problem. And some students think that, well, alcohol is legal for adults over 21, so it's not harmful. But obviously that's not the case. Alcohol is very harmful for adolescents and can lead to some pretty serious consequences. The next one is marijuana. And there has been a slow increase in use of marijuana by adolescents since 2007, which is the first time we've seen that increase in recent years. There is a misconception among students that because marijuana is natural and it has recently become legal for medicinal use in the state of Illinois, that it's not harmful, that it's not really a drug, I hear some students say. And while it may be true that legalization status is being debated, it's unlikely to be approved for recreational use by adolescents. And that's because many studies have shown, and there are some citations at the end of this presentation to take a look at, that the adolescent brain is not fully developed. And marijuana use can impact the formation and functioning of many different parts of the brain. And it can also have a negative impact on memory, coordination, balance, functioning, learning, and perception. While it is certainly true that marijuana is less addictive than other drugs, about 9% of people who regularly use marijuana do become dependent on the drug, and the likelihood of addiction increases, especially when a person begins use at an early age. People who use marijuana often develop a tolerance, and that means that it takes more and more of the drug for them to achieve that high feeling, and especially as at a young age, often leads to experimentation with other drugs in order to seek that high. And that's why marijuana is sometimes called a gateway drug, that it can lead to other drug use and certainly increases exposure to other substance use behaviors. Also, because marijuana is smoked, it can damage the lungs, similar to the way that cigarette smoke would do over time. And driving under the influence of marijuana is risky and is illegal. Marijuana can cause decreased reaction time and altered perception. Finally, the last most commonly abused type of drug are prescription and over-the-counter medications. And we have also seen a recent increase in prescription drug abuse across all ages, including in adolescents. The most commonly abused drugs are Vicodin, Oxycontin, Ritalin and Adderall, Xanax, cough and cold medicine, which is sometimes called a street name of Triple C. There is a very serious risk of addiction with these drugs, quite obviously, and there are also serious health risks and a high risk of overdose. We really ask that families, if there are prescription medications in the home, that these medications are locked up and disposed of properly. So please encourage any family members who you know may use these medications to really be responsible about their use and storage. And then also just to share that there is often a misperception among young people that because these drugs are prescribed and a doctor gives them to people, that they are less harmful than other illicit drugs like heroin and cocaine, when in fact these drugs are just as dangerous, and when they are not prescribed to you, they are illicit drugs. Now that you know a little bit more about substances that are commonly used by adolescents, we want to remind you students that the Mustang way means being healthy. And part of that is being responsible, thinking through your actions, not starting to abuse those substances, and delaying legal adult behavior such as drinking alcohol for adulthood. Take responsibility for your actions and think about your future before you make any choice. You're already making a great decision to be engaged with school. Staying engaged with your academics, athletics, activities, and other activities in the community, having good nutrition, exercising, taking care of yourself, those are all ways that you can ensure a better future for yourself. And finally, respect your mind and body. Find healthy ways to relax and take care of yourself. Find healthy strategies to cope with the challenges and stress of life. And be proud that you're making good, healthy choices and that you're staying clean and sober. It's really helpful to surround yourself with friends who want the same positive things and have similar goals. If you have a good core group of peers who cares about you and who wants that same healthy lifestyle, it's going to be much easier for you to make those choices and maintain that lifestyle. Family members, parents, there are certain things that we call protective factors, and these are what research have shown helps reinforce those positive behaviors in adolescence. So the first would be to talk often about your family's values and expectations. Initiate conversations about things that matter for you and your adolescent. Be available to show support and listen. Teens, like all people, just want to be supported and they want to be listened to. They want their perspective understood and valued in the family. Be involved in your child's social life. Get to know their friends and families. Know where they're going, what they're doing, and who they're with. Establish clear limits and expectations with consequences. Yes, teenagers are moving toward adulthood, but they still need guidance and they still need firm and consistent rules with consequences. Expect adult supervision. Know where your child is, who they're with, and what adult is supervising, and be prepared to check in and check up on them. Talk with parents if your child is going to be spending time at their house and understand what their rules and values are, especially related to substance use. Avoid late night or overnight situations where there can be a temptation for substances to be present, and especially if you know that there's going to be a lack of adult supervision. Parents, what you do and what you say does make a difference. Adolescents regularly tell us that one of the reasons that they avoid using substances is because they don't want to break the rules at home. They don't want to disappoint their parents, and they don't want to have those consequences. So keep having those conversations with your students. So as a final reminder, students, what we're really hoping is that this year brings you another opportunity to focus on your goals. We'd like you to ask yourself, what behaviors are most likely to help you meet those goals that you've established for yourself? We believe that one of those is to maintain a healthy, positive lifestyle, and that's really what this presentation has been about. Remember that being involved with athletics and activities at DGS means you're held to a higher standards than your peers. You're a role model, and you represent our school. When you wear that uniform, you are DGS. And so we want you to think about, what do you want that image you portray to be? I really wish you all of the best of luck with all of your goals this year and offer to support you in any way that I can. On this slide, there are a list of sources, and this is where I got most of the research that was cited in this presentation. I want to point out specifically the Monitoring the Future website, which is the second one down, and that's where all that national data came from. Some of the studies that I cited related to consequences of drug and alcohol use came from the American Academy for Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and the Center for Disease and Control and Prevention. So please take a look at those. Many of these sites also have resources for families related to substance use. Finally, just to remind you, my name is Diana Benoist, and I am the Student Assistance Program Coordinator at DGS. My contact information is listed here. Please feel free to reach out if I can answer any questions, provide any support or referrals, or really do anything to help you reaching your goals this year. Thank you so much for your attention today.